Wow, this is the first time I have shown my face so far for Brooks Film Studios. So, what's going on, guys? My name is Elijah Brooks. I'm the owner of Brooks Film Studios, and my hope is with this YouTube channel, I kind of just want this channel to be a outlet for me to be able to talk about camera gear and video production in general, and also a place that I can maybe give some tips and advice on gear and other things related to video production. So hopefully I can help out other content creators or even businesses wanting to look to get into video. At least that is the hope for this channel, is that I can both use this as a place to talk about camera gear and also a little place I can showcase my work. But enough about that. By the way, don't worry about my finger. I partially cut some of my finger off at work trying to cut meat, and it was not a good situation. I'm not going to go into that. It's not very good. Anyway, what I want to talk about is a recorder that I originally got for content creation. This is the Tascam Dr40. I love this little recorder. It's a great recorder, but there are certain things I don't like about it, and that's the reason I decided to upgrade. And I upgraded to the Zoom H6. And I'm going to talk about exactly what it is that made me switch to this recorder from this, and some possible downsides of switching from this to this. So let's go over that. Now, one of the big things that really made me want to switch to the Zoom H6 is honestly the screen. The screen and the way everything is laid out in the software is just so much better in the Zoom H6. In the Tascam Dr40, like say I wanted to go in and format my SD card, I have to go into the menu, then I have to go down to system, and then I have to go down into another menu, and then all the way down to format SD card, which is like, it's buried in there, so it's not exactly easy to get to. But Zoom H6, you hit menu, you go all the way down to SD card, you go that, format, done. Like, the UI on the H6 is just set up so much better, which, granted, the price of this is a little more substantial, so I understand why. But another thing is just the way you read decibel readings on the Dr40, I do not like at all. Because in order for you to read decibels, you have to hit record once, which then will start showing you levels. It doesn't show you anything until you hit record once. It begins showing you levels, and then as it's going, it gives you a decibel readout at the bottom. But the problem is, as it's going up and down and peaking and going down back and forth once you're trying to get a reading, you can't really get a sense of where it's at. And the screen is honestly soft, so a lot of times I might read a -4 as like a -7 or something stupid like that. I'm weird. But if it's that hard for me to read and tell exactly where my levels are sitting, I don't like it. Now on the H6, on the other hand, it literally gives you meters on exactly where the level is hitting, plus it gives you a line for -6 and a line for -12, which I want my levels in between that line, peaking at about -6. So I can be on a microphone and say, peak, 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 and it will show me exactly where those levels are hitting. It gives me a line, a bar, and it's easier for me to adjust levels. Now, something else is I do not really like the way my Dr40 handles how I adjust the volume, because you have to adjust the volume with these knobs right here. So, and they're a little clicky, so I don't know if you can hear that. So you have to adjust the volume or the input level with these knobs. But on the H6, you have these nice dials that you can then use and turn very smoothly. So there's no jumps, and if you're monitoring audio and need to adjust on the fly, you can slightly adjust that dial. With the Dr40, you're sitting over here going, nope, too far. Nope, wait, nope, yep, wait, yep, wait. Yeah, that's good. But then you get half the time you get those clicks in the background of the audio. It's not very good, especially if you're the one having to monitor the audio. Or if you have a dedicated person, you're like, hey, I want you to just monitor this audio, and that's it. Now, granted, this does have auto levels. I don't like to use auto levels because then in post, if I'm trying to go and level something, I don't want it jumping up and down, or like somebody stops speaking, it gets really noisy, and because you know how you have it just suddenly raise up and then it's like I don't want that, so we don't use that. Another thing too that I really didn't entirely like is it does have this little switch that gives you a mic level and a line level, and then it gives you another little section that gives you phantom power. So you have your mic level, line level, and then you push that farther down, then you have phantom power. I personally I don't like it because you have to adjust your levels, and then you have to go to mic, and then you readjust those levels. I mean, granted, that's just part of audio, but the DR40 makes it so much simpler by just having a negative 20 dB pad for each channel. So, say I'm plugging in two microphones into this, two completely different microphones. I either have to have both of these as a line level or both of these as a mic level. On this, I can have one as a line level, one as a mic level, and just have the negative 20 dB pad on the particular channel I need. Now, depending on what work you're doing, you might not need that. Some do, some don't. I personally just would rather have it that way, just in case I ever want to record multiple microphones, because I had an idea for doing a podcast, but then I ran out of time. But at the same time, too, I know podcasts are growing, especially video podcasts, and I would like to be able to offer that to my clients if I so desired. So I could easily go pick up 4 Shure SM58 microphones, some microphone stands. I already have the cameras, and then you're off to the races. You got a podcast, because I already got 4 channels right here that each record to their own individual track. So to an extent, this Zoom is almost a future-proof thing for me, just because of the way it works. Okay, so let's talk about inputs. For inputs on the DR40, it's fairly simple. You have 2 combo jacks, which can accept both XLR and 1/4 inch. Then you have 2 of these said microphone capsules, which you can put in either that or the XY pattern. On the DR40, the DR40. That is not the DR40. On the Zoom, we have 1, 2. Then you have another 2 combo jacks, XLR and 1/4 inch inputs. Plus, this also comes with a couple attachments. So one is an XY pattern capsule, and the other one is I don't know what they call this. Like this way and this way, so like that way. And this is more designed to capture what's right here. Like, it's right here, it's in front. So, and plus it also comes with a, like a little furry wind muff thing, so you can kind of, nope, that's not designed for that. You can kind of take this and put over it, then you have like a microphone you can, and hello. But let me walk you through a situation I encountered in a recent wedding I went to go film. The DJ was set up top, but the couple didn't really mention that they wanted a full sound system where they was getting married, because they was getting married at this big cabin. The reception was going to be up on the porch of the cabin where the DJ was mainly set up. But they got married down some stairs by a river that was like way away from the cabin. So what they did is the DJ went and set up like a little small PA speaker looking thing that didn't have anything for me to attach into. There was one way for me to patch in, and that was if it had a headphone out. I thought I had every cable imaginable, because I bought a XLR to XLR, XLR to 1/4 inch, RCA to 1/4 inch. I had it all. I thought. I was wrong. So what I needed in that moment was like your typical auxiliary cable like you have in a car. So just 3.5 millimeter, or it's also called 1/8 inch. So 3.5 millimeter to 3.5 millimeter, just headphone cable on both ends. Even if I had that cable on the DR40, there is no way for me to patch that in. I would have had to buy a XLR to 3.5 millimeter, or like a 1/4 inch to 3.5 millimeter. I didn't have that. But if I could have got a cable from somebody else, which I probably could have because somebody always has one of those in their car, the Zoom H6 comes with this one capsule, but on this capsule it has a 3.5 millimeter input. So I could have used this to patch in and be able to get audio from that speaker. Now, there was a second way to get audio from this. You could have taken a lapel mic and draped that over the speaker. All of my lapel mics were on everyone for the ceremony. I had one on the bride, I had one on the groom, and I had one on the officiant. I ran out of lapels. So, I went to go just take these microphones, set it directly in front of the speaker, and just capture audio that way. The problem with the DR40 is to record, you have to hit record twice. I apparently only hit it once, and it never recorded. I missed, because there was singing that I wanted to capture, so I had to end up using audio from one of the third cameras I had rolling towards the back to capture that, because I did not hit record twice, because in a wedding ceremony, when everything's running behind and last minute, you're kind of running around like a chicken with your head cut off, plus you have a second shooter, you're like, hey, go here. It's a lot. I don't have time to be worried about, did I hit record twice or did I only hit it once? On the Zoom, you hit it once, it's done. On the DR40, not so much. I need that quickness. Like literally, that just hitting that button twice is apparently too much for me, because I don't understand why, but it is. Now, the final reason that I really wanted the H6 over the DR40, let the record show, I'm not saying this is a bad recorder. This is a great recorder. It got me through everything I needed to get through. I could have survived with this, but there's just certain things about it, which I'm going to go over some things that this can do. There's one particular thing this can do that my H6 just can't, which I would pick it up, but I keep scared I'm going to detach the microphone because this is what's running my audio for here. But this is still a good recorder, don't get me wrong. But the final thing that I really liked about the H6 is the fact that the preamps in the H6 are just so much better than they are in the DR40. Which typically in the DR40, like, you have a volume level of 1 to 100. Typically when I'm running this exact microphone that I'm using to capture sound, I have to run this at about 80 to 85. And the preamps can be a little noisy. And there was a time I was trying to record something at a church for a sermon we had going. I tried to record it and I had to push the preamps up to 90, and it was a little more noisy than I wanted it to be. Now the H6, it apparently takes the signal a little bit more hot, because I'm actually currently at a 6, like the volume knob goes from 0 to 10. I'm currently at a 6. That is pretty daggum good if you ask me. Better preamps, more inputs, better screen, it's easy to read. For me, it just works. Okay, that's all it comes down to for me, is just it works. And I enjoy it. There's one main thing that I do like about this recorder, and that, like, I'm not getting rid of this recorder. I'm keeping it. It's still a good backup. It's a very good backup to have in case I have 2 PA systems on 2 separate different spots. This is still a good recorder to have. And there's one thing that this does that I love. I haven't gotten a situation to where I screwed up bad enough to where I needed it, but it's good to have, and that is a backup recording. And what that does is it literally takes a signal. So like, say you're pumping signals into here. Now let's say you're pumping signals into the bottom. It takes those signals that you're pumping in, it records them, but it also records a track that is either -6 or -12 dB lower. Your choice. I always had mine at -12 just because if it's going to peak, it's probably peaking very, very badly. That's at least something really, really good to have. Now, that being said, now to an extent, there's a way to replicate this on the H6. So what you could do on the H6, which I haven't taken it on a wedding yet, but there's a way to do it, is if say you're patching into a soundboard and you're able to take a tape out. So that's what that is the two RCAs right here, and I have a cable that transforms them to 2/4 inch. And what you can do is take them and plug left, right into channels 3 and 4. What the H6 actually does by default, I did not know this, I thought you had to turn this on in a menu. What it does by default is it will record each individual track in its own file. So when you plug something into 1 and 2, 1 and 2 is its own separate file. So what you can do is record one here, and then you can set one, like say you have one peaking at -6, you can have that set, and then you can have one peaking at -12, so -6 lower, or you can set it lower than that, and then that gives you each individual file. Now granted, that is assuming the DJ is not like panning stuff to left and right, and then that just kind of messes you up. Or another option is, I know you have to buy a device to do it. You can buy an XLR splitter box. So what that does is it takes one XLR, splits it into two channels, which you can then run into there, just like you would this cable. So that gives you one signal split up into two that you can then run into here and have a backup track as a -12 or -6, however you prefer to set that up. But instead of doing all that on this just does it automatically. It's great. It's a good little recorder. I love it. I still do. I'm keeping it. But the H6 will probably from now on be my main. And one last thing, when it comes to changing your input, depending on what you need, you actually have, for this one, you have to actually go into the menu, change the input, set it, depending on what channel you need, you have to set it to either 1 or 2 or 1 and 2 and stuff like that. Now on the H6, on the other hand, it's literally as simple as taking which track you want, pushing the button, it's armed. That's it. Again, it's just a little bit of a setup thing. So that's all for me, at least. That's the reason I'm switching to the Zoom H6. Not giving up the DR40, but I am switching to the H6 for my main recorder. And I hope that some of this information helped someone out. If it did, let me know down in the comments. Leave this video a like. If you want to see more stuff like this, consider subscribing, because I plan on doing some more camera stuff. I got a what's in my bag idea coming, along with the audio bag. And also, technically this is not the camera I started out with, but it's the new camera I got, and it's working really good. So stay tuned for that. So yeah, I will catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.